excel is to reach your highest dream, but you must also help others where and when possible to reach theirs. Personal gain is empty if you do not feel positively touched by another life. Barbara Walters. Welcome to the series finale of Tea with Tommy B. I am Tommy Byers. Barbara Walters broke down barriers and set a legacy for female journalists. She appeared on the Today Show, ABC Evening News, and 2020, and The View. Unfortunately, Barbara passed on December 30th, 2022. On today's episode, we are joined by local media trailblazer who tells us about what inspired them to pursue broadcasting and how news stories can impact a nation, followed by a local first responder who is following a childhood dream to be a musician. We have all dreamed of being on a streaming television platform. Later in the show, we will sit down with a Lamar University student whose dream became a reality when she was selected to appear on the college tour on Amazon Prime. Plus, we cannot forget about Cheap Meals with Taylor Justice. All this and more on Tea with Tommy B. What is a series finale without an award-winning treat? Not Tea with Tommy B. In the tea room, we will find Taylor Justice, who always has something yummy for us to try. Taylor?
Thanks, Tommy. Welcome to another segment of Cheap Meals. I am so excited about today's meal, and it's an American staple, household staple, but without the grill. Today we're going to be making garlic butter steak bites with a loaded baked potato, only using an air fryer. And I'm so excited. It's so easy and so quick, and it's college budget friendly.
Steak and potatoes?
Yes.
That sounds amazing. And you can do it all in an air fryer?
All in an air fryer. It only takes around 30-ish, 40 minutes, and it's super easy to make.
That's not bad. So how do we prepare these potatoes?
So first of all, like any baked potato, you always want to poke holes in them to allow ventilation for them to cook all the way through. And as you can see, it's giving me a little trouble.
Right. So those must be some fresh potatoes.
They're very fresh. I just got them yesterday.
Okay.
And then we're going to drizzle these in a little bit of olive oil. Just to be able to stick the seasonings on there.
Okay.
There it goes. Okay, it's taking me a little bit. And then for the seasonings to go on these potatoes after you get them smothered in oil, we have pepper, garlic powder, and salt to stick with the name of the garlic butter. So let's go ahead. Ew.
It's all gross.
Let's go ahead and get these seasoned.
All right.
Would you like to help me out
Sure.
with the garlic powder?
Sure.
So what is your favorite meal, Tommy?
Honestly, you can't go wrong in Southeast Texas without a steak. I also, I really like sushi, but
Sushi's my favorite.
Sushi's my always go-to. You can't go wrong without some fresh sushi.
Oh
but no.
We probably should have paper towels to get this oil off first.
You're right, but what's a kitchen without a mess?
100%. So after we get these potatoes all oiled up and seasoned up, we're going to and put them in an air fryer. Once again, what's a kitchen without a mess?
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and set these in here, and you're going to set your trusty air fryer to 400 degrees.
Okay.
For 30 minutes.
For only 30 minutes.
And then while you're getting ready for that, while the 30 minutes pass, you can go ahead and cut up your steak, add your seasonings, but we'll get into that later in the show.
Right, okay, that'll give us time to clean up our mess and have it all nice and neat when we come back. When we come back, we'll be joined by a local industry giant whose passion for news has made him a household name for more than 20 years.
You are watching Tea with Tommy B, only on LUTV.
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
STEM is everywhere. Like here.
behind the scenes of The Walking Dead.
When we break down clothes, we tumble it with trisodium phosphate, rock salt, and dish detergent.
We stitched together images of our model and created a 3D set that could be walked through in a VR headset.
We're able to turn 12 walkers into 1,000 walker hordes.
STEM can create new worlds on and off the screen. What will you make with STEM? Get inspired at shecanstem.com.
Welcome back to Tea with Tommy B. Our next guest is a trailblazer who has been a household name in Southeast Texas for about 25 years. Please welcome Angel San Juan. Angel, thank you for joining us.
Tommy, thanks for having me. This is exciting. Love LUTV and love Lamar.
Well, we appreciate all of your work and dedication to helping the students here at LUTV. But before you were able to help us, you were a student yourself. Can you tell us what brought you into broadcasting?
Well, I really liked TV news. My parents were news watchers, and I would watch with them. My brother is 12 years older, so it was almost like there were two only children in the house, because by the time I came around, he was already 12, and then he started going out and about. But I would stay home with my parents and watching TV, and we would watch the news, and I just loved it. I just thought it was so interesting, and I loved it because you were there at so many events as it happened, and from the beginning I knew that's what I wanted to do, and I had no question. I mean, this is when I went to the University of Texas, and right off the bat I got into communications and broadcast journalism. So it was fairly easy. I knew what I wanted to do, and immediately got into it at the university. The only thing is, back when I was doing it in high school, unlike today, there weren't a lot of broadcast classes in high school. I had to write for the school newspaper, and now I think students have a lot more of opportunity of starting this career earlier than I did.
Correct. And so from the University of Texas, you transitioned to Southeast Texas, and you were able to start off at KTRE in Lufkin.
That's right.
And what was that experience like?
It was neat. It was 5 days after I graduated from UT. I started working in Lufkin at KTRE, the Lufkin-Nacogdoches area there in East Texas. It was really neat. The people were very nice, but it was truly, I call it a boot camp, because I had to do what now is called as MMJ. Back then it was one-man band. And the equipment was much bigger. I mean, the tape deck was separate from the camera, and then you had a big light belt and a battery belt. It was it was a lot. But I was the only reporter on weekends sometimes, covering an area that in East Texas, I think we covered about 9 counties.
Oh,
so
wow.
You had a lot of stuff going on, and I was the only reporter for the weekend, and I would shoot the stuff myself, write it, and put it together. But it was a great training ground. I mean, I'm so glad. I think it's definitely whatever success I have, I owe it to having started in Lufkin and learning everything about the business. There's probably I probably can do every aspect except direct and all that stuff. But as far as stuff in front of the camera and producing and getting a product together, I could probably do everything, and it's thanks to Lufkin. And I think I'm a better reporter because I learned how to videotape my own stuff, so I know how to write to the video.
And you talked about those changes coming from a one-man band to now at MJ. What other changes have you seen throughout your time in the news business?
Obviously social media, because it used to be the fact that, you used to have newscasts at noon, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So you have those wide gaps to prepare for the newscast. Well, you no longer have that wait period because of social media. Right. You need to have whatever you're reporting on, you need to report it immediately on social media. So it's just much more immediate. I mean, TV news is always immediate, live, but it used to have just newscasts, and you'd wait around for those newscasts to start. Unless it was something really major, you would not break in during the day. But now with social media, you start, if I'm on a story, I have to start on my phone, sending video and pictures and information on social media that way before we even get on, in tweeting out information before you even get to the station.
And speaking of social media and tweeting, there's been a conversation of fake news over the last couple of years. How do you make sure that you're getting the right information out to viewers?
You know, you just verify, and I think that's where so many, and I think one thing that's good, that things are changing a little bit to avoid that, is everybody used to, even this was before social media, everyone wanted to be first in breaking the story. And I think that's important to inform your you know, it's a competitive and you want to inform your viewers and you want to get the most viewers. And a lot of that is done by having news first. But I think it's much more important to get accurate information out, you know, and that's important because a lot of people, there are a lot of folks reporting news or through social media have their own accounts and they spread the word, but a lot of times that's not true. And the minute one mistake of getting a fact wrong could damage your entire reputation and people won't follow you. So you might be first, but if you're wrong, then in the end you end up being last because folks won't trust you.
Correct. And trust goes a long way,
very much
especially in the media. You also talked about wearing different hats. You have worn multiple hats throughout your time here in Southeast Texas. Can you tell us a little bit about the opportunities in the news business, such as myself or anyone else that graduates can take on?
Oh, there's so much. You know, there's from the I've been a reporter. There's so much to do in media, not only in front of the camera, but behind the scenes. And not only just when it comes to on-air product, we also have folks who sell commercials, and you know, so there's a business aspect to it. But I just think get your foot in the door as quickly as you can to a TV station, doing pretty much anything, and then you just absorb it like a sponge, because you can be a photographer, a producer, a director, a reporter, an anchor. I even was lucky enough to be news director for about 5 years at Channel 4, and it's something that I'm glad I did it. It's a challenging job. It's tough to manage a newsroom, but I'm glad I have that experience, and I've really done full circle. So now that I'm reporting, I've been doing this 32 years since my first job in Lufkin, 25 here in Southeast Texas, and I've been able to do every single thing, again, except probably directing a show. But in doing so, now at this stage of my life, I'm so proud to be doing my favorite aspect of it is reporting and being out in the field.
And being out in the field, how have you been able to grow, and how would you describe Angel San Juan today? Wow.
I think I'm much more patient, much more understanding. I think I've always been very soft-hearted and a kind person, but I think I've even probably become a little bit more of that, more empathetic. I know, you know, less judgmental. You know, you do a lot of stories affecting a lot of people, and it's easy when you're outside or just hearing about something to maybe judge folks of why did this happen? How did they do this? But now I feel things can happen to anybody. Things happen to everybody. And sometimes you're lucky to be able to get out of them. Sometimes you're not. But in the end, we're all human and we all go through tough times. And even some of those tough times, you know, and what I've learned the most, and I've always felt this, and I learned probably from my mom and my parents, is the fact that treat everyone with respect. And so when sometimes I'm surprised people agree to interview with me about something because they're going through something serious.
Absolutely.
But I just treat them with the way I would want to be treated if I were going through that. So I think that has helped me in my career, but it's definitely, I think, more patient, more understanding. And it's funny because now I feel while I mentor young people, because I've been in this so long, I also get mentored by young people. I feel that I learn a lot. I felt like the reason I've been able to stay relevant and know what I'm doing in this profession for so long is because I also learn from the young people I work with.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you, Angel. And when we come back, we'll have more with Angel San Juan, only on Tea with Tommy B on LUTV.
911, where's your emergency?
Everyone's on their way. What happened? Your friend's not safe. She's dead? Yes, please get my mom and dad. Oh my God!
What do it be, boys?
I need to get rid of some hair.
Oh, man. What do you think?
Shorter, please. Shorter.
I will stand by you. I will help you through. When you've done all you can do, you can
being there. Pass it on.
I will dry your eyes.
Welcome back to Tea with Tommy B. We're once again joined by local trailblazer in the news industry, Angel San Juan. Angel, we talked about your journey into the news business, and we talk about that compassion. When you first joined us here in Southeast Texas in the Beaumont market, a tragedy struck Jasper. How did the James Byrd tragedy of 25 years ago impact your career?
What's amazing, you know, I had started in Lufkin and at KTRE up there. So when you're Jasper's right smack dab in the middle of both markets, you know, of Lufkin and the Beaumont market. And so I had just started in March here in the Beaumont area. I started reporting, and I had previously been, in fact, one of the last stories actually I did when I was KTRE was that at the time, Governor George W. Bush had visited Jasper. So I had gone to cover that, and then a few weeks later, I'm in Beaumont. And so I started in Beaumont in March, and in June, so the murder of James Byrd happened on a Sunday night, and Monday morning I got there, and my news director, or my executive producer at the time, Scott Lawrence, said, "Hey, Angel, we want you to go up to Lufkin, to Jasper. There's been a murder." And he sent me because he knew I was familiar with East Texas, and he's like, "You know the folks." And I knew the sheriff at the time, which was Sheriff Billy Rolls. So I said, okay. So we went up there. But the reason we went is because there had actually been a murder before, and then a week before, and then there was the murder of James Byrd Jr. So we went there with the angle of, wow, here in Jasper, a small community that's, you know, relatively peaceful, not a crime-ridden area, they had 2 murders in 1 week. Well, then when we got there, the sheriff himself immediately acknowledged, he says, what we have here is something different. And I don't know if he, at the time, if he used the reference hate crime, but he did say it appeared to have been racially motivated. And I mean, everything just changed. I mean, we started from for that, when we went up to interview with the sheriff, it was just, at the time, the 3 stations, Channel 4, Channel 6, Channel 12. I was there for Channel 6. And then the next day, the world was in Jasper, you know, satellite trucks, media from around the world. And, but you know, the way I saw it, I just kept it, you know, because that can be distracting, not only for the community, but even
Correct.
For local reporters. So, but I just basically, you know, just told the story. This is what happened, which was just horrific, you know, human being dragged to death, and because of race, just a horrible crime. And I remember the district attorney, we would say dragging death, but he actually wanted me to see, and he showed me the autopsy pictures because he says, you need to know what that means. And it is horrific. I think it changed everything once I saw that, because you saw what humans did to another human, and it was just awful. But then the story, I think, in the end, and what people should know, it also showed the compassion. I mean, the community came together. James Byrd Jr.'s family, pastors, just regular folks came together to make sure that justice would be served, and to prove that all of Jasper was not what just these 3 men did. And I think they did a really excellent job. And just in the initial state, the Klan came, the Black Panthers came, but they only came one day and demonstrated, and they left. And I think the reason that it did not, I think the family themselves did not want that sort of strife. They wanted to trust that the justice system and that the citizens would do right. And they did. So because they didn't, they were a strong force in keeping extreme elements away and just focusing on justice. And sure enough, 3 juries did get justice, and all 3 men were punished.
Correct. And those race conflicts in Jasper were representative. The wall or the fence came down in the cemetery.
That was one of the most the story that still sticks in my mind that I did there, and it's probably one of the best stories of my career. Not necessarily as far as me doing anything with it, but just what it meant to the community. Is the community of Jasper noticed when this first happened that their cemetery, the Jasper Cemetery, was divided along racial lines, and there was a fence that divided the whites from the blacks after they passed and after they were buried. Well, let's say now you still have families, and if that's where you choose to bury your loved one, it's on you. But what they didn't like, a lot of the people in the community, was there was actually a fence that divided those 2 areas. So they got together, and in the midst, this was actually, I think, I don't know if this was during the first trial or just when the crime investigation, they got together and they tore down the fence. They broke it down. So now there's no fence dividing the sides. And it's actually the cemetery where James Byrd Jr. is buried. So I think, and I remember talking to a woman that I interviewed. She said she was crying because she said, it's so hard that we're divided in life, and yet to know that after we die, that division continues because of this. So it was, it's a story that really touched me, and I think describes it all. It's sad when we get to the point where even in death, we're divided that way, right. But they took action to change that.
And speaking of creating those transgressions, a lot of times news anchors are not able to follow the story all the way through due to the markets and changing, but you had the opportunity to follow it all the way through to the final execution. What did that mean to you? Well,
it just meant, it meant that the job was complete, I guess. It was an honor to, first of all, have the trust of the family and the community to be able to do that, to be able to see it all play out, and it also helps with the fact that I think it's the overall trust that people can put in someone. Because I was very honored, just besides the more than 20 years up to the last execution, but before that, from the time the murder happened to the final trial, it was 1.5 years, and I was honored that myself and another reporter, a Houston reporter, were the only ones the family invited to a little ceremony they had at the gravesite after the final trial had ended. It was just family members and just a little private moment that the family, and they invited myself and another reporter, Monique Nations, who has passed, but she was and another, Joyce King, 3 reporters, and all 3 of us were able to be together there with the family, and that meant a lot because obviously they had trusted the coverage we had given. And then, but yeah, just to be able, I think it's an honor I don't think many people can say they covered a story from the beginning to the very end, a tragic story, but also I think that there was a lot of good, we saw a lot of good come from it through the humanity of a lot of the folks involved, including the sheriff. Sheriff Billy Rolls, I think I don't think many sheriffs many law enforcement folks would have handled it as well as he did, that he was not afraid to say what it was from the beginning and to reach out for help from the FBI, knowing that this might be too much for his department to do. So he definitely, as far as the family and Sheriff Rolls, they get a lot of credit for the success of making sure justice happened. Well, Angel, I want to appreciate you for joining us, and it's been an honor to have you on as a guest and for you to serve the community of Southeast Texas for 20 plus years. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Angel. When we come back, we'll be joined by Taylor Justice in the tea room to see what she has for us to snack on today. You're watching Tea with Tommy B.
Sarah, you've got this, okay?
But they lost.
Not really. Not where it counts.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Yeah, are we just still talking a little bit?
That looks really good.
Right. Welcome back to Tea with Tommy B. So right now I'm currently cubing up a steak. My favorite choice of steak is a sirloin, which is what this is because I'm a person who doesn't like a lot of fat on my steak.
Right.
And, you know, for a college student with a budget, this is a cheaper alternative to ribeyes and other cuts.
Okay. Well, Taylor, what kind of steak? So you like sirloin steak, but how do you like your steak cooked?
Personally, I like my steak cooked medium rare.
See, that's how I like my steak also.
Yeah.
But my brother, he's weird. He likes it to where it looks like it's still moving, and I just find that really weird.
Still mooing.
Yeah,
Wow.
like there's, looks like it just came off the pasture and you slapped it on both sides and put it on a plate, and I just find that
Well, after we get this cubed up, we're gonna go ahead and add this steak to this bowl right here.
Okay.
And I'm about to have a little bit of olive oil in my hand, so I am gonna ask you to put the spices on for me.
Okay,
So
no
can you go
problem.
ahead and pour some olive oil on that steak, please? Just a little drizzle. So just like the potato, this is also going to help with those seasonings to stick to the meat. That's enough. So let me go ahead and toss this real quick, and then could you go ahead and start adding these seasonings?
Sure.
And these are also going to be the same seasonings that we used on the outside of the baked potato. But it's a little versatile. You can use whatever seasonings you like. You can use a kind of rub. You can do different flavors. But personally, if we're going to be pouring the garlic butter on top later, I think I want to use garlic seasoning.
Right. You can't go wrong with too much garlic. Now you can a little bit. You know, we got to keep all the witches away, but
Keep our breath smelling good too.
and our breath smelling good. You're right.
Keep a toothbrush on handy.
At least we're not adding onions on top of the garlic. So hey,
Personally, I love onions though, so I don't really see that as an issue.
you're right. You don't want onion and garlic breath.
Yeah, that pepper's a little hard to turn. Maybe we should have used a more finer pepper, but
It's fine.
personally, I like a more coarse pepper.
You're right. All right.
Perfect.
I
Thank you
think
so
that's
much.
all grounded up.
Yeah, so
And ready?
after these potatoes have a little bit longer to go, we're gonna add this steak into the air fryer, and it's gonna take around 4 to 5 minutes, way shorter than the potatoes, but it will
Okay.
be done soon.
Well, that's not too long. And Taylor, when you were younger, what is a dream that you had to become?
When I was younger, I wanted to be a singer. I think that's every little girl's dream. But up until around high school, I had no clue what I wanted to do until I got to college. And my sister came to me one day and she said, "You need to come see LUTV." And I came to the studio on the campus in Lamar, and I immediately knew that was where I wanted to be. So following that day, I immediately switched my major, and ever since then, I have been a multimedia journalist.
And that's awesome. You followed in your sister's footsteps, and that dream became a reality. That's amazing. You know, I always want to be president of the United States, but
I would definitely vote for you.
I appreciate it, but that seems like a difficult job, especially here lately. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with a local first responder who, like Hannah Montana, is living the best of both worlds of being an EMT and a rock star. Byers, Mark Chestnut, Tracy Bird, Clay Walker, George Jones are just a few of the names that have made the Golden Triangle home and kept it golden. And potentially our next guest, Andrew McCabe. He is a local first responder and local musician. Welcome to the show.
What's up, man?
How have you been doing?
Working.
So when did your music career first kick off?
First kicked off when I was 14. It's kind of ironic. I used to play metal music, heavy hard rock music, and I looked totally different then, totally different genre back then. But then I discovered you make more music, playing in these bars and honky tonks, and so I kind of matured a little bit. I've been playing music almost my whole life. I knew somewhere in my life I was gonna be playing music. So. And
how was that transition able to bring you to where you are today?
It really brings out the songwriting, just looking back on the past experiences and how much progression in the journey is really what it's about. And
you talk about transitioning and taking that journey from heavy metal, being an emo high school kid, which majority of us all are, into this new culture. What type of music do you produce today?
Well, I play a variety of everything: rock, blues, country, traditional country. But I really found my heart and soul in the red dirt Texas country, because it still has a big rock influence with a little bit of folk in it, and I just feel like it kind of brings everything, all of my ingredients together, what I need to deliver on my song. So that's a little bit of everything, but mainly red dirt Texas country.
And speaking of that red dirt and being able to find your soul and being part of Texas yourself, what type of music do you produce in that country? Is it something that, do you write and produce your own music, or do you just find it along your journey?
It's along with the journey too. It kind of varies, but having being in EMS helps a lot with the songwriting. I've always told myself, the more you work, the better your songwriting gets. The less you work, you're not going to have a very diverse mind what to write about. So I like to put myself in other people's shoes. So it's really helped with the process.
We talked about George Jones in the beginning, and he has a song of who's going to fill those shoes, and being a part of EMS and that type of thing. How does that really impact your music?
It's a deep song, man. It's a good one too. The song, it makes sense. A lot of these, I feel like there's too many love songs, too many breakup songs. If you go look at my platform, I write a lot about what's going on in our area, but I also have other songs too, but I try to keep it authentic as possible, so that way people in our area can relate to what I have to say and forthcoming.
And being in the EMS, you mentioned that. How do you find the time to continue music, and is this your escape?
It definitely is an escape. I remember being in an EMT class, and the first day, our instructor, we each went through each student, and he asked, what kind of hobbies you do, if you like to do any, draw, play music, play video games. He was very specific that this is the industry where you need a crutch to get away and forget about, the things you see out in the field. And music has kind of brought it to life, and so ultimately it is a kind of a getaway.
Taylor, I know you mentioned you want to be a singer earlier, but I personally can't sing a note to save my life.
Oh, we know.
Oh, we know. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to just stick to my day job.
Please do. When we come back, we will speak with a Lamar University student appearing on the college tour, plus more.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Well, Taylor, we have a lot of ingredients. And you know, what was your transition from high school into college like?
You know, my mind is a little bit hazy because I'm already a junior in college, and they always say that it flies by. Just like in high school, they say those 4 years fly by. It definitely does here in college. But what I can remember is being nervous about what college I wanted to attend. You know, I had thoughts about maybe like A&M, Texas Tech, but Lamar University really stuck out to me from the close-knit community and the resources that they provide students. It was also close. I wanted to be close to my family, and I remember being really nervous until I found that Lamar University was the right pick for me.
Right.
And then the whole rest of the process was an easy transition.
Right, and that was the same transition process for our next guest. Not only did she transition from high school into a local celebrity here at Lamar University, she has appeared in a Super Bowl commercial, and she is now appearing on the college tour on Amazon Prime. Groundbreaking, revolutionary are just a few names that come to mind when we're talking about my next guest. She is the cast member of the college tour premiering on Amazon Prime real soon, Alexis Miller. Alexis, welcome to the show. How's it going today?
It's going great, Tommy. Thank you for having me.
We talk about a college tour, so let's kick off. What was your experience whenever you first made your trip into Lamar University?
When I first got to Lamar University, I never thought that I would be doing any type of production or advertising anything with university. But over my time here at Lamar, it has really came to pass for me, and I've just been doing it, and I've been having fun, and it's been creating me many opportunities, and I'm just grateful for it.
And speaking of being creative and creating that own journey for you, you were actually very creative early on in high school. You created a poetry book. Can you tell us about the inspiration behind that?
The inspiration behind my poetry book was I was at church, and we have youth programs and Black history and things like that, and they always wanted me to prepare a speech, and I was like, okay, I'll do it, to where it just got into a book. Like, I had enough poems to make a book, so I found someone to help me publish my book. I self-published, and it just took off from there. Like, it was so much fun. I had book signings. I was on the news.
Oh, wow.
It was just an amazing experience for me.
That's really awesome. And so that opened your eyes into news, or what really inspired you to become a broadcaster?
When I was growing up, I wasn't the kid to not like to watch the news. I was always the one, Mom, stop what you're doing. Where's the remote? The news is coming on. It's 10 o'clock. Mom, we have to watch the news. I've always wanted to watch the news at 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Like, I just really enjoy the news, really enjoy hearing other people's story get told. And that's what sparked my interest in broadcasting.
That's amazing. It's really cool. And so from that spark of energy and spark of enthusiasm, you recently were featured in a commercial for Lamar University. What went into that?
That just came as a surprise to me as well. I was at home one early morning, and I got an email. It was marked as urgent, and it said Super Bowl commercial, and my eyes lit up. And I was like, what am I doing in the Super Bowl commercial? And I started reading the email, and the next thing I know, I was screaming and hollering. I had to call the lady that sent me the email, And she was like, yes, we're going to be in the Super Bowl commercial. You know, I'm going to send you more details. And it just went from there. And I've been so excited ever since I found out about that.
And this has been a really exciting opportunity for you this past semester. Not only the Super Bowl commercial, but you are also featured on the college tour that will be premiering here soon. What went into the backstory on that?
Well, Shelby Rodriguez I looked up to her as a mentor. And when I would go to my conferences and workshops in these different cities and states, she would always ask me to write an article about it so she can post it on the Lamar University page. And I would do it, and I would send her photos of me at the conference and things like that. And she heard that the college tour was coming to Lamar University and they needed a crew. And she called me one day. She said, Alexis, I really think you should do this. And I came in the studio, talked to Gordon about it. I was, Gordon, I don't think I can do this. And I remember, like it was yesterday, it was a Friday, and it was a Friday night. And he said, think about it over the weekend, and we'll record your audition on Monday. So over that weekend, I came up with my script. I did everything, and we recorded it on Monday. And I sent it in. That was it. I had to wait about, say my timeline was about a week or two, and they got back to me and said I was officially selected.
Oh, wow.
And it sparked from there.
And that spark turned into a great opportunity. In the filming process, the production crew came on campus and filmed. And, you know, this is it's a centennial year for Lamar University. And over the last 100 years, Lamar University has grown. And it's a great opportunity to be featured on such a award-winning television show to see what we already know. Lamar University is booming. We have a big nest and a bunch of people that are ready to fly into the future. So we talked about your poetry. We talked about all of your accomplishments at Lamar University and how you've grown. But who is Alexis Miller?
I'm a growing young woman, I would say that. I'm a growing young woman, and I'm about to graduate here in a month, but in no way, shape, form, or fashion do I think I'm ever done learning. It's an everyday thing. You can learn from elders, you can learn from people younger than you, you can learn from the person sitting next to you. So in my opinion, I'm never done learning, although I'm about to graduate, and I just want to keep that going. I'm just someone that likes telling stories, and I'm very interested in the media, and I hope that I have a great future lying ahead of me.
Well, Alexis, I honestly feel like you have a wonderful future ahead of you, and I feel like you said it all. Each day is an opportunity to grow, learn, and achieve, and congratulations on graduation.
Congratulations, Alexis. Your hard work has paid off. You can see the full episode of the college tour on Amazon Prime. Who knows, you may even see a few familiar faces.
That is true, Taylor. Stick around and find out what other surprises are left in store on the series finale of Tea with Tommy B, only on LUTV.
Our money, she's my purpose. I'm here to walk with her, hold her hand until she can walk alone. Kind of like being a father in this world.
To Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Tea with Tommy B. Lamar University has a plethora of students, and some of those students are not traditional. Our next guest fits that mold. Before attending Lamar University, he was a veteran in the United States Army, and he is now known for his radio show on 91.3 KVLU radio with Still Willie. Welcome, Mr. Willie Carrierre. How's it going today?
Thank you, Tommy. Glad to be here. I'm doing fine, Tommy. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome. And I wanted to bring you on because you have a very unique story to Lamar University. And before attending Lamar University, we mentioned that you were a veteran. Can you tell us a little bit about that backstory?
Yes, Tommy. I joined the United States Army at age 19, coming straight out of South Park High School. And I stayed in active duty, went to Germany, did 3 years and came home. Then I joined the United States Army Reserve, and I was in the reserve for about 22 years, and then 9/11 hit. And then my unit was called back to active duty, and I then left and went back to active duty. Well, I enjoyed active duty so much that I just stayed until the Army put me out. My family would always ask me, when you getting out? I said, when they put me out. I was having that much fun. So at age 60, I don't care who you are, unless you're a general or somebody special, you got to get out, and that's what happened. On my 60th birthday, I had to leave.
And speaking of 9/11, that really left an impact on all of America, and it really drew you back into active duty.
It did.
And during that time of being in the reserves, you've called Beaumont home your entire life.
My entire life.
And what other roles have you played here in Beaumont?
Well, while I was a reservist, I retired from Sears Automotive as an auto mechanic. I retired from BISD as a school bus driver, and now I'm a student. I'm a full-time student right now.
Yes.
So.
And speaking of being a student here at Lamar, what drew you into Lamar University?
What? I'm sorry, Tony.
Well, what made you want to attend Lamar University?
Oh, what made me want to attend? Okay, long story real short. When I joined the Army, I was a communication. I tried out for the Army band, which I guess they had too many tubas. And so I couldn't, they needed more tubas. So on the way back, the recruiter had me. I was a captive audience. He said, what else you want to be? I said, well, I like to DJ. I want to be on the radio. He said, we got radio. But see, he tricked me because when I went to basic training, they put the radio on my back.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, that's not what I meant. But, I stayed. And so I retired as a communications NCO, which was non-commissioned officer. But I hadn't made it to the radio yet. And so one of the first things I did was I asked Lamar University, do y'all have a radio station, don't you? Well, how do I get in that program? And I enrolled.
Right. And you talked about being a radio DJ, and prior to your military experience for 40 plus years,
yes,
you've actually been a radio DJ here locally for 47 years. Can you tell us a little bit more about your experience?
Yes, Tommy. I wasn't a radio personality. I wasn't a radio DJ. I'm what you call a mobile DJ. I have a company. Vibration Sound is my company. And so I've been mobily, I do weddings, reception, class reunions, you name it. I do that type of DJing, and I've done that. I've carried my equipment with me all over the United States and traveled. And I did mobile DJing. I still do today. but I wasn't a radio personality until now.
And how is that, being a mobile DJ to a radio DJ, how was that transition?
I think I still like mobile DJing because it gives me an opportunity to play to a diverse crowd, and I like the radio DJ because it gives me an opportunity to talk to people. I don't just play music, I talk, I connect.
Right.
Yeah, and those are two different styles of the same thing.
And speaking of traveling and making those connections, you and I traveled to Las Vegas to attend the CBI conference. What skills did you pick up there, and how does that change your career?
Well, what we learned when we went to Vegas, and I enjoyed it, Tommy, we had a good time. What goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. But anyway, what I did learn in Vegas was all the new technology that was out. I mean, these are some things you only see in magazines, and I had not had an opportunity to see it in person until we went to Las Vegas.
Yes, sir. And you've had experiences for many years. You've met many different people, and you've had different roles and many different roles. What is something that has changed who Willie Carrierre is throughout that time?
What has changed me over the years? Of course, experience, Tommy. The longer you do something, hopefully the better you get at it. So I've spent many years DJing, both out in the public and I've learned quite a bit. And I take that with me to my radio show. I will play a song that people hadn't heard in a long time, and they appreciate it because they tell me when they see me.
And what is your show name? I don't believe we've actually called out the show name, so can you tell the viewers what your show is called and where they can watch it?
Yes, most definitely. My show airs on Fridays at 10 p.m. and it airs on Sunday mornings at 1 a.m. And it's the Good Time Cafe with Still Willie, and I'd appreciate it if y'all tune in.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
It took 20 years, and I got my third child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Taylor, once again, it smells amazing in the tea room. Can you give us a recap on what we've made today?
Sure. So we just made our potatoes in the air fryer. What we did was we poked holes in them for ventilation. We covered them in olive oil. We added our seasonings, put them in the air fryer for 30 minutes, and they came out looking absolutely amazing. They smell good. I can't wait to add our ingredients. I remembered you told me once that you didn't like sour cream, and luckily I don't either. So right now we only have our butter, bacon bits, cheese, and this is the garlic butter. We're going to save that for the steaks. So let's go ahead and start adding our ingredients.
All right.
And then these should still be hot, so hopefully this butter will melt pretty quick. But these steak bites smell amazing. They're quick to make, college budget friendly, especially if you like to get the sirloin. That's my personal favorite cut of meat. I'm gonna add you some more butter. You need some more butter on that potato, Tommy.
I know, we need to butter it up a little bit more. All right, and so now that we've dressed our potatoes and our steaks, they really don't have much longer, is that correct?
it looks like they are finished.
Oh,
I didn't hear a ding. There it went.
There's our ding.
Perfect. So let's go ahead and move our potatoes to the side.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Look at that.
So all I had to do was put these in the air fryer for 7 minutes on 400 degrees, similar as the potatoes, and they look pretty amazing.
That's not too long at all.
Oh my goodness. These are pretty hot though, so we have to be careful.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, and we have some left over. So now that we have our steak finished, we're gonna go ahead and add this garlic butter on top, and that is your today's recipe.
Oh, wow. And it's very quick, like you said, 30 minutes.
Oh.
They can make it in their dorm room. You know, all you'll need is an air fryer. Quick, simple, and you and your partner, you can make these quick and simple.
Totally easy. It tastes like a 5-star meal. Speaking of taste, let's go ahead and give it a try.
All right.
Be careful, it's hot. Comes out so good every time. That's why this is my favorite at-home recipe.
You're right. And, you know, Taylor, we've had so many episodes, but, you know, we failed to have that cup of tea.
Yes, we did. How many shows has it been so far?
I think 4.
Yeah, imagine having a show called Tea with Tommy B. We haven't had the tea yet.
Well, you know, I think we have something for them.
Well, finally, it was about time.
You're right.
I've been waiting.
I think there's one hidden over there for you.
How did I not see this before? You hit it right in my ingredients. Cheers.
Cheers.
That was delicious.
So, Taylor, for our final tea, we talked about the barriers that Barbara Walters broke down at the beginning of our show. Who is someone that's helped you break down barriers to achieve your goals?
Personally, I'm going to have to name drop. It would be Gordon Scott Williams.
Oh, you even dropped the middle name in there?
I dropped the middle name in there. They have to know. Gordon has been an inspiration to me ever since I stepped foot in LUTV, like I mentioned earlier. I stepped foot into the studio, and from that moment on, I knew exactly what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be. And I don't think that I would be where I am today without Gordon breaking down those barriers for me whenever I didn't know how to continue a package, or whenever I was stuck with a writing block for a story, or whenever I was even just too nervous to go out with a camera and be the center of attention. He always talked me through that, and I really don't believe I'd be the multimedia journalist I am today if it wasn't for him.
That's absolutely correct. You know, we've had 700 plus videos performed here at LUTV. That means that 700 plus people have came through these doors.
Actually, it's now 800.
800?
800
See,
videos.
We're constantly breaking down those barriers, and one person's been here all those throughout that whole time, and I don't think Gordon gets enough recognition that he deserves.
Absolutely.
And, you know, past generations have worked for major networks. They've worked locally and all across the globe. And, you know, Gordon's been an inspiration for myself as well. And I honestly don't feel like I would have the confidence in myself to do this as I did whenever we have, without Gordon.
Right.
And, you know, Jonathan and Professor Stanley and all of the other professors in the communications department, majority of them have really been groundbreakers and inspiration to all of us all. And so, Taylor, that's all the tea we have for you today on this episode of Tea with Tommy B. To see more content from LUTV News, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. But before we go, I would like to say thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate everything that you've ever done for me.
Don't cry.
I'm sorry. And so, as my time at LUTV comes to an end, I greatly appreciate Taylor for being my co-host. I thank Gordon Williams, and then my amazing, amazing production team, because I honestly would just be a face in front of a screen, and I wouldn't even be able to be on this camera without the people behind it. You know, Taylor, we took a conversation that was a joke, and we turned it into an award-winning television show, and I greatly appreciate you. So, with that said, that's all the tea I have for you on Tea with Tommy B.